how to create a design like this, really weird and wonderful distorted design in Photoshop. First thing you can do, create a file. So File and New. And I'm going to go for 2374 times 1530 and create. Once I've done that, what I need to do is create a shape. And I'm just going to go over here to the pen tool. So here's the pen tool. And just go up here, you can see it says shape there. You could say path, but I'm going to go with shape. And with that, I can create a shape. So I'm just going to click and I'm just going to create a number of points. And you of course create all kinds of different shapes. It doesn't have to be sort of like lightning or sort of this sort of zigzag design. Just create that and then close it. Just click there and it's a closed path now, a closed shape. With that, you can now, if you want, recolor it. I'm not happy with the black because the thing with black is that it unfortunately means you can't recolor it in the program, the actual fill. So just go down here and I can select shape tool or some of the other tools as well. And it will show you the fill there and you can just click there and then you can set it to, and I'm just going to go for a sort of grey, a middle grey, an average colour. So once I've got that, I can now apply a drop shadow to it. I like to give it a bit of depth. And I can do that via layer and go to layer style and just down here to drop shadow. And you can see then you've got your drop shadow and of course you can move it backwards and forwards. You can decide where you want it. Now I've got there 82. I like to have it a bit more than sort of like very faded. I like to have it, but not too far. So 80 or 90. And then the distance, you can set 50, 28 and 60 for the size, depending, of course, on your document. Once you've got that, click OK. Well, at this point, I need to turn it into a pattern. So I'm just going to go over here. I've got layers. So if I expand this out, you can see I've got a background there. Now I can just simply just deselect that. And you can then see through, obviously, to the background transparency. Now I can select this area. Just use here, just go for the rectangular marquee tool. So press M to get that and then just select it. Now make certain you haven't got any feather because if you do, it will not allow you to actually define a pattern. So just go over the whole area, say feathers set to 0. Then you can go to edit and then you can define it. Now if the document's too big, if it's I think like 5,000 by 5,000, it's just going to be too much. But you can define this pattern and you can store it. You can hover over here and I think it should, yeah, it's 626 by 1311. Now the reason I've done it upright. So I want a really sort of very sort of vertical design. And the reason for that is the next step. So once I've done that, I can then deselect that. I don't need that anymore. And you could delete it, of course. Select and deselect. But now I just go back to the background. I can turn that back on again. Move it over there. So now I've got my shape, I've got my pattern defined. I can now turn it into a fill. So I'll just go to edit and just down to fill. And you can see there, pattern. Now this is one I had earlier, so I'm just going to select the one I just created. So you can see there, just select that one. With that one selected, go to script, make certain that's turned on. And symmetry fill. So symmetry fill and normal 100. Click OK. And then you get something like this. Now obviously it varies depending on what the setting you've got here. You might have it set on 1. I've got it on 7. And that's the one I want, number 7. And now I'm going for 1.22. Now you could set it up to 1.25. That's the max. Fortunately, I wish they would make it so you could actually scale it more. 2, 3, 4. Doesn't seem to be possible. And here I've got 25 and you can vary this. So just vary it. But I quite like the one where it's sort of crunched in. So I go for about 20, 25. And you can see all those zigzags are all crunched in. If you push it the other way, if you go that way, 100%, there's a bit of a gap. I don't want that. I want it to be about 20. Crunched in, but not so far that if you crunch it in like that, it's probably just as good as well. So let's just go with that. And also 100% for the height. Also colour randomness, I'm going for 1. Brightness randomness, you can vary it. You can obviously set that low if you want. Maybe have that at 0. perfectly reasonable. Then click OK. And then you get this very dramatic, slightly turning sort of zigzag design. You can see it swirling in these zigzags. Now you can apply it again if you want. You can always go to Edit and Fill. Apply it again. Click OK. Maybe decide just change its value a little bit, just slightly, 21, 22. Click OK, apply it again. So you can build up and create a few more. I think it just gives a bit more depth to it if it's got totally filled. But everyone will be happy with what they get. Obviously. Hopefully. That's the key thing, of course, whenever these things. So once you've done that, what next thing you need to do is you can use Liquify to distort it. So I'm just going to go over here to Filter and down here. Now I've got Liquify here, but all that will do is apply what I've already created. So I don't want that. Well, what you can do, just go down here and you've got Liquify here. Now you'd think it'd be in Distort. It's not. It's in its own thing. I don't know why they've just left them in this little section. They seem to just stick new ones in here, but sometimes I think they should be in the rest of them. So Liquify. And now, by default, nothing's happened. I'm just using this one. Just go up here and don't ask me. I never remember what it is. Forward warp tool. And you can set obviously the size. I'm going for a fairly big. Now, if you push it too high, it's actually sort of sluggish, a bit sluggish. Density I've got here is 50, pressure 100. And then also I like to use pin edges. Because if you don't, sort of that pulls it away. I don't want that. So I can then just distort it. And I like just to play around with it and just see what distortions. I have to drag. So you've got all these zigzags and you just drag them across. That's what I like about the forward warp. And also you can push that up. And you can then maybe drag that down there. So you can create a sort of nice... And this is the thing I like about this Liquify. You can actually use this to create all kinds of designs. You might want to create sort of like a horse shape or something, sort of like a, I don't know, hurtling into the wind or something. That's where I see this as sort of bashing into the bit of energy and excitement there. And then click OK. Now you might not be able to see it, but there is OK down there. Just click that. And then you've got the end design. Now, what you can do, you can always apply it again. I quite like to apply them again. It doesn't always work. Always undo. So filter and liquify. Obviously, if it's a big document, it might take a few seconds to do, but filter and liquify. And sometimes the result is interesting. Sometimes it just pushes it too far. And also another option, of course, is you can always go to edit and you can go with fade liquify. I always love to use fade liquify and you can vary it. Just try different settings. Now you could use opacity there, just change that, or maybe multiply, and you can blend different things. Obviously, if you applied liquify a couple of times, it will be blending that. And you can see the result of that. You can just create all kinds of combinations to create even more dramatic designs. I'm going to cancel that. Another thing I like to do is maybe add a bit of smudge. So I just go to filter and go down to stylize and oil paint. And I don't like to push it too high. So 2.2, 2.9. Don't want to smudge it totally. Just a little bit of smudge, just make it less sharp. And then you can see then the end result. There is the end result. Let's just remove layers so you can see that. And the navigator, move it over there. A nice colourful zigzag design that's been slightly distorted to create some very sort of abstract design, but at the same time, I think with a lot of energy. If you've got any questions, please put in the comments below. Always great to hear from you. A like or dislike, always appreciated as well. And also please subscribe to the channel. Always adding new tutorials all the time. And I've got thousands of Photoshop ones, also previous ones that I've created. Whole load of different things, how to use layers, how to use all the various filters, how to use channels, warp tools, all the tools over here. Just run through many of them, showing how I use them. And also some of the different options are available in those. Bye.